People who've escaped a cult. What horrifying secrets did you discover? I was only 6 years old when my parents started touching me. I grew up with 35 brothers in a household where we were forced to worship our daddy, who we would call God. As much as I hated living here, it was the only life I'd ever known. It was normal to me. However, I was always weirded out by the large men in animal masks who would touch us late at night. None of us liked it, but we were forced to take turns in partaking in it. Some of us had considered escaping, but had grown up being taught we'd be punished by Satan himself, which was enough to make us stay. How could we have known any better? That was, until last week. We were sharply woken up from our bunk beds as normal, ready for homeschooling. But something was off. One of our brothers was absent from class, which is never the case unless someone has been sent to the torture room. But he hadn't misbehaved, so he was missing for a different reason. Mother, or at least the person I thought was our mother, looked extremely worried and jittery today. We all called this woman our mother, but had no idea if they were our real parents, and I would never dare to ask. Immediately, she began questioning us in regard to our brother's absence from class that morning. I said I didn't know where he was. That was the truth, or half of the truth. She insisted that because we share a room, I must have known something about his whereabouts. Again, I said I didn't know where he was, trying to act as normal as possible. After a while of her sitting there, staring at me with those burdening eyes, both of her arms folded across the edge of the desk, I finally suggested that we go looking for him. And just where do you suppose we could find him? She asked. The woods, maybe. You know we aren't to go into the woods. I don't think he would have made it that far anyway. Somebody surely could have stopped him in time. I don't know then. I don't know where he is. She stared at me for another infinite moment. Finally, the tension in her eyes broke. Well then, you'll just have to go to your room and don't come out. So I did. I trotted back to my room. It was only a few steps away from her office, but tears had already begun to well in my eyes because I knew where my brother was. He did go into the woods, and I knew the exact path that he told me he was going to take. Like my brother, I wanted to leave. Unlike my brother, I was too afraid at that time to face the unknown. After all, I had never been in those woods, nor had I ever seen what sort of a world existed beyond them, if any, for all I knew. I, along with all of my brothers, were made to stay in our rooms until the next day, when again at exactly 6:30 we would hear the banging on doors telling us to come to class. I remember that morning. I remember my mother looked hollow, perhaps what a grieving mother looking for her missing son would look like. We said our daily prayer to our Father and were immediately greeted in the classroom by a lecture on what happens if we run away. She wasted no time telling us the story of a boy that ran from home decades ago. That boy, just a teenager at the time, was called upon by Satan to run away and was found mutilated across the forest just a few days later. That is the prophecy, my mother stated. You have the choice to leave, but do you choose morality, comfort, and our goodwill? Or do you choose immorality and a diseased, evil livelihood? She walked toward the door, careful not to let her black skirt drag the floor, and opened it. If you choose to leave, she continued, I will not stop you. It would be an interference with God's will. A cool breeze flowed into the room. I sat in silence for a moment, contemplating, twiddling a button on my shirt. She always told us we should try to enjoy the rituals with the men in the animal masks, even if it hurts. I'll stay, I muttered, along with the rest of the class. I had no real intentions of staying, and I knew that. Truthfully, I was afraid of the possibility that she was right, that I was choosing the will of Satan and turning my back on all that is good. Good, my mother said, then went directly into a new lesson. Days and days went by until finally, on a night of no other significance, I worked up the courage to follow my brother's footsteps. There was nothing to my plan, just walk out the front door and leave. It was that simple. Only it wasn't that simple, not in practice. They said they wouldn't stop us, but deep down I knew Satan wasn't the reason that boy had been ripped apart and spread across the woods. Someone did it to him. Leaving home for the first time was a wager on reality itself. Leaving and staying were both dreadful. My mind was juggling spheres of different colors. I realized that I was pulling my own hair. That's it. That's enough thinking, I thought. It's time for me to go. We really didn't have much security, so walking out was easy enough. Our household worked on a trust basis, and as much as I believed our religion, I was slightly older than the rest of my brothers, and deep down I felt like there was something more. I was willing to take the chance. I walked straight into the woods. I wondered how many other people in these small homes had considered doing what I was doing. I could barely do it myself, so I just kept on walking. It was pitch black at nighttime. I had no idea how long I would be walking for, or if there was even an end. Bugs and frogs and birds all chimed into some horrifying harmony. Wolves and coyotes made their noises heard on occasion as well. I couldn't begin to know what else was out there. Sometimes it sounded like something was behind me. I'd look, but of course nothing was there. I was sure that I was psyching myself out, but the sense of something behind me remained throughout the entirety of the night. I was sure that I heard somebody screaming for help. My brother, oh dear God, my brother is still in the woods, crying, screaming for help. I turned left toward the screams. They sounded farther away. I turned right and they were farther away again. I moved forward again, but the screams, his begging, never sounded any closer. I couldn't turn back. Oh no, I couldn't turn back. By that point I had been walking forever. Listening to his pleadings stab my ears, always sounding the same distance away no matter how much I walked. Please let it all be in my head. I'd rather be going crazy than have to listen to my poor innocent brother scream for help when there is nothing I can seem to do about it. I kept on moving, not even willing to stop when the pain of the rocks and needles and twigs on the ground made my feet bleed and sting. But it was nowhere near as bad as the pain that those large men would cause on us. At some point the sky lightened up. Many of the noises, including the screaming, subsided. The birds sang much more lovely music. Finally, I came to the edge of the woods and everything was calm. The edge of the woods was nothing more than a long, narrow clearing before the trees began again. A trail of a fading black rock made a seam straight through it. Yellow and white lines ran the middle and edges of it. I now know it was a road, but at the time I had never seen one. My legs were excruciatingly sore. My feet had moved past the point of pain and were now numb lumps of meat shelled in mud and blood. I didn't know what to do, where to go, or who to meet. In fact, I was afraid of seeing anybody. When I saw it, I knew what it was. In school, my mother had explained that a vehicle is a machine that can transport people faster than God had ever intended humans to travel. If we were meant to move that fast, she'd say, God would have made our legs go that fast. It was a big vehicle with an open box attached to the back. I didn't expect vehicles to look like that. It slowed down and stopped on the grass beside the road. The driver hopped out and ran to me. I considered running back into the woods. This man is going to snatch me and commit unspeakable sins against me. Surely that's what he's going to do, I thought. That's what the rest of them did to me. I felt paralyzed and couldn't run away even if I wanted to. The man stopped before me. He was mostly normal looking, a bit bigger than most people I had ever known. There was hair on his face, something I had never seen before. Jesus Christ, son, he said. I ain't even gonna worry about asking you no questions. Get in. I need to take you to the police. He finished off his sentence by taking off his hat, scratching his thinning head of hair, and carefully replacing the hat. The first time I saw Police Chief Richards, he was leaned back in his office chair with his feet on his desk. When he saw me, he promptly dropped his feet and leaned forward. His eyes appeared to widen to the size of apples. He motioned for me to come forward and have a seat. Well, boy, the chief looked back at me. Come take a seat. I'm Police Chief Richards, by the way. You don't have a name, I suppose. How old are you? Do you know where you're from? I am 14. You're not going to hurt me, are you? I asked. Chief Richards kept his right ear toward me as I talked. He shifted his eyes to continue looking at me. He listened carefully and intently. You're asking if we'd hurt you. Now, why on earth would we do that? No, we ain't here to hurt you. We want to help you. He spoke softly and smiled again at the end of his sentences. The woods, I told him. Would you be able to write down any information about your life? He asked nicely, handing me a pen and paper. I sat in silence for a moment. I didn't know what to do or say. I took my sheet of paper and wrote the truth. It was an awkward moment of writing, but I did it. Father would make all his children dedicate themselves to him one piece at a time. For me, it was my arm, an eye, an ear, and my lips. For my brother, it was more. Much, much more. He was close to being fully dedicated. Some tears smudged the ink as they fell onto the paper. It hadn't occurred to me beforehand how much like a monster I must look to these people. A boy with a missing arm, an empty eye socket, just a plain hole for an ear, not even any lips, just exposed gums and rotting teeth. I felt disgusting. Chief was pale. And your brother? He asked. I suppose he must have crawled out of that place? I nodded and tears continued to fall. After a long moment of silence, the chief looked at me and said, You know, son, we're all born into some kind of cult or another, but you should never disobey your God.